Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to this Tuesday evening where we are about to finish up the final part of Chris's relationships under the Quictionary section. And this one is just about perhaps the pettiest one since the infinitely high boyfriend factor. Sweetheart from the ground up. If you don't know what that means, good. Sweetheart from the ground up is a Cwcism Chris uses to explain the type of woman he wants. Because apparently a girlfriend isn't a sweetheart, and he has to teach her how to be his sweetheart. If that does not sound like one of the most sexist and misogynistic things you could possibly hear, and I say misogynistic because misogyny is hating women for who they are. But apparently Chris cannot handle. I suppose handle is very different from hate, but it makes you wonder what it would have been like if Chris was with a woman who was not, 100% or only 71% matched up to his, his specifications, let's call them, as opposed to demands. He apparently finds this term so clever that he uses it incessantly. He may think that it rhymes. Possibly. Chris intends this phrase to mean that he wants a female friend who will eventually become a sweetheart. To all other human beings, it sounds like he wants to chain a young woman to his basement, break her, and rebuild her as his fantasy woman by brainwashing her into loving him. There's a horror movie called that. It's called Pet, I believe it's called, about this guy who suddenly decides to kidnap this woman and lock her in a cage. However, as it turns out, the woman is even crazier than this man is, and he ends up running away, not knowing what he's. I'm gonna see if I can find that trailer. By the way, I'm gonna see if Let's see if I can just find it. Yeah, it sort of looks like this, where this guy stalks after this girl, and that's basically how it is. I recommend it. It's actually a really, really good movie, and it's fascinating just how crazy both of them are. Anyway, we're putting that aside. Let's see. To the mad scientists among us, or the grammatically sensitive, Chris almost always mistakenly adds a hyphen to ground up. It sounds like he wants to reanimate all of his old coffee grounds in his basement laboratory and then, Pygmalion-like, begin a romantic relationship with them. This is one of thousands of reasons why non-inflatable women wouldn't touch him. It's also worth noting that he did say he was searching for a sweetheart from the ground up in several of his attraction signs, considering the entire point of said signs is to find a girlfriend, not a regular gal pal. His usage here conflicts with his given definition of the term. However, it is unlikely that he intends the phrase to have multiple meanings, but rather that he's simply too retarded to understand that a complete stranger can't be a great friend at the same time. Uses by Chris. The story of my current days includes one of the earliest recorded examples of the term, where Chris imagines that there had to be a boyfriend-free girl out there. Okay, somewhere for me to get to know, grow a strong companionship with, and make into a sweetheart from the ground up. One of Chris's MySpace messages from 2005 includes a rare variation of the term. I have been in the market for a boyfriend-free girl to make into a girlfriend from the ground up for over 2 years now. Your guess is as good as mine as to why in those 2 years nothing has changed or worked. In an email to his middle school teacher, Virginia Sanford, from February 2007, he explains his motivation behind his original attraction sign. I needed a girl to make into a sweetheart from the ground up. An email to Megan from August 2007 includes the usual attraction sign boilerplate about needing to make into a sweetheart from the ground up. Towards the end of sub-episode 7, the tale of his ordeal at Target, Chris complains, All I wanted for over 2 years was a boyfriend-free girl to make into a sweetheart from the ground up, with friendship. During the September 2008 round of White Knight emails, Chris summed up his goal in life as, simply put, I'd like an 18 to 29-year-old boyfriend-free, caring, smoke-free, non-alcoholic, white, optional virgin woman to make into a sweetheart from the ground up. Save for a slight change in the age range, he says more or less the same thing in the Vivitegs AIM chat. In a nutshell, I'm looking for an 18 to 26-year-old boyfriend-free, caring, smoke-free, non-alcoholic, white woman to make into a sweetheart from the ground up. Jesus, that's a mouthful. Chris's introductory post at Solitude Girls explains that he's waiting to be personally approached by an 18, my age at the time and current, boyfriend-free, caring, smoke-free, non-alcoholic white girl to make into a sweetheart from the ground up. The Solitude Chronicles, Chris's PowerPoint presentation designed to pitch his character to Nintendo, he explains that in real life I've been in search for a woman to become my true sweetheart from the ground up. Chris's Book of Matches profiles from late 2008 or early 2009 says, I want to start a relationship from the ground up. In Mumble number 4, Chris says that he's qualified to give relationship advice because of his personal experiences. When I tried to find myself a woman to make into a sweetheart from the ground up, he also explains a bit more of the meaning of the term, which apparently denotes a relationship starting with friendship and progressing into romance. Look at the truth. One of Chris's rants against Liquid Chris includes the following lament: I have still been having a harder time of trying to look for a boyfriend-free girl to make to a sweetheart from the ground up, yet he was able to get a girlfriend like that. I know it's not added on here, but that is actually what happens. Oh my god, just... You know what's really, really tough, ladies and gentlemen, to just think about this? It gives you the idea, like, imagine, and I'm going to assume it's at least, this unfortunately at least happened to one person, that they'll probably be asked, what do you mean by sweetheart from the ground up? What exactly does that mean? Does this mean that you're trying to, like, make me into something, or what? Why does Chris... Because immediately, that's, if I was a woman, that's immediately what I feel like it would sound like. The second thing I have to point out, just in case I sound a little bit crazy, is that because of Chris's autism, he has to spell everything out in absolutes almost all the time. Not only so that he understands what he's talking about, but so that other people understand what he's talking about. He doesn't want to leave anything in the grey. He wants to have everything black and white, which unfortunately goes for making very specific remarks saying that he only wants to date white women. So again, the problems again with the whole race thing is that's bad enough. But what's worse is that no respectable woman, and I mean no respectable woman, would ever enter a relationship where all of a sudden they would be second-class citizens. No woman would ever want to be treated like that. And I don't think most men would want to treat them like that. Because it's not a relationship. It's like a domesticated house pet that you can breed with. This is not a relationship. Chris, I think it's worth pointing out that Chris's definition of love, and from what he's seen and quite possibly how he imagines, his love life to go, or what it's going to be like for him after he gets married. Not that that will ever happen, but I think it's fair to say is that if you start using terms, anything at all like these, then do not be surprised of what happens. Because Chris used these terms, and you can work out how well that turned out for him. So with all that being said and done, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye bye for now.